Reddy College of Engineering. Today I would like to share the concept of throw and as well as throws. So what is the role of throw in the exception handling? So the role of throw is whenever the user want to throw the exceptions explicitly, because whatever the exceptions we have seen till now, arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, number format exception, negative array size exceptions, all these are when the logical wise if the input is wrong, then those exceptions will be automatically thrown by the JVM. If the corresponding exception handler is there, that will be handle the related exceptions. In certain cases, the user wants to throw the exceptions, especially whenever the user has created some user defined exceptions which are not there in the Java, which are not comes under built-in exceptions. According to the application, the user wants to create any user defined exceptions, that will be possible here, and how those exceptions will be thrown based on a keyword called throw keyword. So throw keyword which is used to throw the exception explicitly, and especially where we can use the throw keyword, we can use the throw keyword in a case called, what is that case? To throw the user defined exceptions, we can use a throw keyword. And how the syntax will be written? The syntax will be throw. Whatever the exception you want to throw, you will create an instance of that exception. So I will share these with a example. So I would like to take we already know int a equal to 10 by 0. So what it meaning? So it generates an exception, that is arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception. So internally, what is the meaning? Whenever I have written, it will the converted statement is at the runtime. The converted statement is throw a new. It will be create an instance of, what is that? It will throw an instance of arithmetic exception, or you can also write like arithmetic exception object is created. Arithmetic exception object is created, and then that instance will be thrown. So actually this is the main thing. So whenever instead of it is the implicit exception, instead of this I would like to throw an exception explicitly, that will be possible with the help of throw keyword. How we can use throw? Directly create an instance of the arithmetic exception, or we can also go through the another situation, arithmetic exception equal to new space arithmetic exception. The instance will be E. Now we can throw this. So which is meaning the arithmetic exception will be thrown explicitly. Explicitly the arithmetic exception is thrown. How it will be? Generally it is not for the built-in exceptions, it is especially for the user-defined exceptions. Whenever we are coming on the concept of user-defined, there we can use exactly the throw keyword. So before that the objective we can discuss. So this is an example. Already I started a class, public class throw demo, and main method will be there, pseudocode will be there. Now I want to int a equal to 10 by 0. What it generates? Yes, 10 by 0, the main that generates, the JVM will throws an exception called java.lang.arithmetic exception. Why it will be caused? It will be caused because of division by 0. At which class? Exception example pack is under a class called throw demo with a method called main method. So automatically it will be generated by the JVM. And now I can remove this. I can use throw a new arithmetic exception. So I can run it. Yes, here also some exception will be generated. What is this? Exception in thread main. Why? What is the exception it indicates? Java.lang. Arithmetic exception. Here the cause is not because of divided by 0. The user has thrown an exception explicitly. There will be no region here. Just we have thrown an exception only. That exception will be generated at which one? Through demo.main. So it will be an explicit exception. And now if you want to give the region through explicitly, yes, if you have observed, because there are so many constructors will be there in the arithmetic exception, you can also print the reason. You may assume that there will be no print statement here. There will be no print statement here, but in the output it is showing exception in the thread main java.lag.arithmetic exception. What is the cause here? Throw explicitly. Throw explicitly at exception example. Why it will be? So if you are going to the deep concept, so it will be actually a constructor. There are so many constructors will be there for the arithmetic exception. Default constructors will be there and as well as parameterized constructor. I have created an instance of arithmetic exception with a concept called parameterized constructor. So throw explicitly, that's why it will be printed the reason. You can also use without parameterized also. Is it only for arithmetic exception? No. You can throw different types of exception. Suppose if you want to give the null pointer exception, you may also throw that. Yes, you may see that here it is give some intelligence. Null pointer exception without parameterized and null pointer exception with you can also pass the parameter which shows the reason why it will be generated. That reason also you mention. You may mention I don't want the parameter first. Yes. Now which exception is explicitly thrown? We can check it. Java.lang.null pointer exception is thrown. Here there will be no try and catch blocks. There will be no exception handlers will be there. So because of that the program will be terminated immediately. When the throw keyword is identified, the corresponding exception handler is not there, immediately the program will be terminated by showing a region called what is that? Java.lang.null pointer exception. Now, how can I handle this? We know that you can keep whatever the exception statement will be there. You can keep that. And what is the block? Catch block of what is the exception raised here? Exception E. And you can also print the reason. What is the reason? Null pointer exception thrown explicitly. Okay. We can give that region also. Yes. So whatever the exception, I keep those exception in the try block and corresponding catch blocks will be there. Yes. So what it will write is whenever the exception is generated in the try block, the control will be moved to the corresponding catch block. So in the catch block, what the result we have written, that is null pointer exception thrown explicitly. So in the same case, you can use, suppose I have created any exception user defined class, that I can use that. So how I can create any exception? Maybe you will go to the another class. I have created a user defined class, my exception extends. How I can create a user defined exception? Simply by extending a predefined class exception, or you want to create especially runtime exceptions, you may also inherit the runtime related exception class. Okay, so I want to create a exception with a name called my exception, which extends an exception class. It will be a user defined exception. User not existed in the built-in classes. What I want to, when it will be generated, it will be some reasons, but first I would like to create a constructor only, string yes, my exception class. I have created println my exception generated. Yes, this is working constructor, and I would like to create one more without any parameters. What I would like to create? Just no application here, just we are trying to, I would like to share how to create an exception, because the main motto of throw keyword is not for the built-in exceptions, it will be for the user dependent, because the user dependent exceptions are not activated by the JVM. How it will be, we need to call. How I can call? First I have created a class my exception which extends a built-in class exception, and there will be two types of constructor. One is parameterized and second one is non-parameterized. You will create an instance for the my exception in any one of these ways. And now I will remove, because this is not my case, I would like to call my exception yes. Now you may see that I have thrown an exception, user defined exception. Throw user defined exception. So my exception is not built in, it will be a user defined exception. Yes, it will be thrown immediately. Where it will be moved? It will be non-parameterized. It will be go to this. Yes, it will be an exception class, and this statement will be printed. Okay, I can check. Okay, I can remove this one also, because my exception user defined. Fine. Now I can run it again. What is that? First instance will be created. So for that corresponding my exception with the no parameters, my exception with the no parameters program will be activated. I can, yes. My exception here, it will be activated. Immediately it will go to the exception class and this statement will be printed. Okay, and once the exception is raised, is there any corresponding catch block is there? Yes, the corresponding catch block will be existed, or the corresponding catch block gives the information, what type of information it is raising. My exception is thrown explicitly. So we can see that. Again run file. What the output? My exception without any parameters, and my exception is thrown explicitly. I can copy this code once and again I can give some idea. So what we are doing initially here, initially we are creating a class my exception that extends how I can create exception class with two constructors. You may create call the exception with parameterized constructor, or you may also call non-parameterized two constructors. And now go to our main logic, main, and try block. I would like to call the my exception. How I can call? Throw new my exception. Immediately it will be go to the non-parameterized and then the corresponding catch block. You can also give it like parameterized, like hello you may pass. Then which one will be printed? My exception generated will be printed. Okay. So this is the main motto of how to call the user defined exception. Here I can change the calling also. Throw hello, and here I can print the S also. Now which one I have called? My exception with the same class with parameterized. Yes, my exception generated with what is the parameterized? Hello. My exception, the corresponding catch block. So in this way we can use the throw keyword. Very important in the interviews also they can ask. So again I can just give the conclusion. The throw keyword, which is used to throw the exceptions explicitly. By using the throw keyword, you may call them built-in exceptions. Generally it is a rare case, but especially where we can, from the application point of view, we can use the throw keyword to call the user defined exception. How we can create a user defined exceptions? With the help of, by extending, inheriting a classes called throwable exception or runtime exceptions. You want to create only a runtime unchecked exceptions, then you can use the runtime exception. You want to create a checked exceptions, then you can extend a class called exception class. In this way, the responsibility of throw will be required. And if any doubts, you may send the message. Thank you one and all. Thank you.